past 1 year, and I have 3 years of experience in Power Automate and Power Automate desktop also. So I'm exploring this Power Apps and Power Pages.
Right. Right. So you have some kind of knowledge. So that's good. That will help you. What about everyone else? You guys worked with Power Apps before?
Hi everyone, I'm from UIUX
Yeah, your voice
designing
is
background.
very low. Can't hear you.
Hello, can you hear me now? Hello,
Still very low.
just give me a moment.
Okay. So it's good that you have some kind of experience. Akshay, you want to speak? You unmuted yourself. No? Okay, fine. Uh, I see Kush joined as well. Nice. So, all right. So let's get started then. And I hope Amir, Kush, you have access to make.powerapps.com so that if you want to follow the steps I'm doing, you can. See thumbs up. Nice. What about you, Amir? If you are speaking, you're on mute. Okay. All right. Fine. So I hope you have access to that. And let me share my screen so we get started. All right. Hope you can see my screen.
Yes, it's visible to me.
Right. All right, guys. So what we will be looking into today is the very first one, and we'll be looking in this three call series in this bootcamp. We'll be looking into how a Power Apps project gets kicked off and how we deliver it. Right. So it's a basic to intermediate masterclass where if you have zero knowledge of Power Apps, still you will be able to understand what Power Apps is and how to build an application from scratch until the production, right? So we'll be looking into everything, and I'm assuming that you don't have any experience. So if you have any experience, that would be good for you. So these are the prerequisites. I shared these prerequisites yesterday. So hope everyone followed, and you have access to make.powerapps.com and Dataverse tables, which we will be using to create. Now, if you are coming from a non-IT background, well, you are working in corporate, but let's say you have zero development experience, or you are a designer, or you are a tester, and everything, right? So, how a Power Apps project gets kicked off, i.e., how an organization actually gives you um, the requirements and what needs to be done, right? So that's what I have written it here. So we'll be looking into event management application in this masterclass. So we'll be building a full-fledged event management application, and so you can see the purpose here is we will build a simple functional event management application for conferences, workshop, meetups, seminar, PS. I might be using this application for all my future boot camps or events as well. So that's the power of Power Apps, right? So what we will be doing in terms of features. So that's how you will receive the requirements, right? So if you are, let's say, about to join or you're joining an organization, you might receive a proper like user stories and requirements, but high level, what needs to be done that gets captured in English language like this, right? So key feature. So for example, my key feature in my event management application is, as an organization, organizer or admin, what I want to do, I want to create new events, right? And what I want to capture, I want to capture the title, date, venue, and description as bare minimum. Then I can delete or I can edit the events. And I can add sessions to the event, time and speaker details if I have multiple sessions in my event. And then uh, view all registrations for my event/sessions. Approve or cancel registration, which is optional if you want to take the application further, which is, let's say you want to build approve or rejection. And then we have analytics, we have send notification automations and everything. So you can take the outcome of this bootcamp as your baseline and then take it from there. So this is how you will receive the requirements and you will start building. And then this is for organizer, and then we have participant role as well. So as a participant, what I can do is I can view upcoming events. I can filter or search events by date, type, venue, and then I can do view, edit details. I can register or cancel my registration. I can view all my registrations. I can provide feedback and rating as well. And again, this is optional. So I'll send this handbook after the session. So if you want to implement the optional features, you can as a post bootcamp exercise. Now, these are the requirements, what we will be building, not the optional ones, but the other ones. And what we generally do is, once we receive this requirement, there will be a senior developer in the organization or an architect who will read these requirements and create the database, right? So the database is very essential for your Power App, where your data will be actually stored. So the database would look something like this. Like there will be an events table where we will have title, description, start date, end date, venue, organizer, and everything. And sessions will be optional if you want to build a feature in your application where each event can have multiple sessions, right? And you're hosting, or you are allowing to host, let's say, a full day event in your application, then session table would be necessary. But for us, since we are keeping it simple, what we will be doing is we will create the events registration users table where each and every user will be listed, and then we will have roles table to differentiate between participant and organizer. So user roles, and then what role each user has. So these are the few tables we will be looking into to create. Right, so requirements are clear. Any questions in this? Take that as no. All right, so hope what we will be doing in 3 days is clear, and let's get started with our actual development exercise. So hope you all can access this URL, which is make.powerapps.com, right? So this is the main portal where you actually start creating stuff. So these are environments. You don't have to worry about it. If you have access to any of the environment, that should be good enough. So hope you can access make.powerapps.com. Now, as a best practice, once we open this URL, what we do is we go to solutions and we create a new solution. Now, solution in Power Platform is a logical way to categorize your whole solution, i.e., if you're creating tables, your application, or any other component, everything should be inside solution. Actually, everything must be inside solution. That's why we first create the solution instead of going into tables and creating tables randomly here. Clear? So let's crack on. And if you want to follow the steps parallelly, feel free to do so. If not, I'll be uploading the recording as well. And you can right now, you can ask questions if you have any doubts or anything, and you can follow the steps after the session as well. Okay. So let's create the solution. All right. Solution is created. Now, first exercise is we need to create the table. Okay. So let's give this as events. That's our very first table. And then we need to create a second table, which is registrations. Right now, I'm just creating the table, not any columns. So columns will be created once we create all our tables. So I have two tables created, events and registrations. Let's quickly create a third one, which is roles. And then let's create our fifth and last one, which is user role. Now, if you click on the advanced option, another best practice, which is a good practice, is that you see how the schema name gets auto-generated with a prefix, the way you write your display name, right? So it's a good practice that your schema name remains with underscores so that you can identify that this is the internal name of your table. Now, this is important because schema name can be generated only once and it's not editable as well. That's why it's important that you understand how to update the schema name while creating the table, because post creation, it is not possible to update the schema name. You can update it right now, but after you create the table, it's not possible. So if your organization is following a proper naming convention, then it's essential that you keep in mind that that's how you can update the schema name, not post creation. So I'll be talking about all the best practices down the line, what we need to do and how we need to do. So feel free to ask questions if you are not aware about anything or you are not clear about the step I just explained or the best practice I just explained. Right. Then now Dataverse, right? So how many people actually aware about Dataverse, what Dataverse is and what it actually means? A raise of hand would be nice if you're aware. Okay, Nishant, nice. You're aware. Right, Rajat is also aware. Good. Okay, that's good. So for those who are not aware about Dataverse, Dataverse is a database created by Microsoft specifically for Power Platform, right? So Power Platform means Power Apps, Automate, Power BI, and Copilot Studios. Now, and model driven apps. So all the Dynamics applications, Dynamics is a CRM tool by Microsoft, product by Microsoft, which is completely built on Dataverse, right? So Dataverse is a bespoke database created by Microsoft for Power Platform specifically, right? So you will have And the benefit of this out of the box database is that there are tables which comes out of the box. The moment you create the environment, that is my Akshansh Dev, you will have all these tables created automatically. That is account, address, appointment, attachment, business unit, all these different tables created automatically. And one of them is the user table. So what is the purpose of user table? User table will house all your organization users, all of them. So what does that mean? That means if you have, you can see my name, which is Akshan Sharma, and you will have all your users here. So you can actually use this table to generate your security model. And if I have to go back to my model where I was showing you user and attendees, right? Name, contact info, user role, then we have role table, user role table, all these things, right? So you don't have to create this user and attendee table when you are working with Dataverse because it's created for you out of the box. So that's what we will be using, and that's the best feature of Dataverse, I would say, when it comes to using the out of the box tables. So we'll be using the users table in our solution as well. So let's open our event management app. We have 4 tables right now. We'll quickly add the 5th one. But instead of new, we'll be going into add existing table, and we'll be searching for user. And you can see it appeared user, system user. That's what we will be. Yes. So we'll click next, include all objects, and it will add the user table. Now you can see we have all our 5 tables inside our solution. Now let's quickly add 1 or 2 few records in our tables. So you can see by default, we have name. Let's see what all things we need to capture, right? We need to capture the title, the description, start date and end date as bare minimum, and venue. So we have the name. We can rename this to, let's say, event title, save, and we will create few more columns. So let's create few more columns. What we need to create is then description. Okay. Let's do this multi-lines of text. Right. So yeah, I forgot. People are here who don't know what Dataverse is, right? So that's how you can actually create a column, right? So once you create the table, there are different ways to create columns. So this is one of them, and the oldest one and my favorite one. So new column, and you give your column name and your data type, right? This is very important. You can have all these data types created. Like under text, you have plain text, text area, rich text, email, phone number, take a symbol, URL, and then under multi-lines of text, you have plain text and rich text. So what we will be doing is we just need to create this as plain text multi-line. So multi-lines of text. And then you can do format as well. So if you do actually this, you can have all these format and it will add the validation automatically, right? So if you do email, then it will say the okay @ is required for email type format. So that's the beauty of Dataverse, right? Some of these out of the box features makes your life a lot easier compared to SQL or SharePoint or any other data source out there. So hope that clears the UI thing. So display name, data type, format required is basically making it required from front end. We'll keep it optional and handle it from front end side. So description done. Then what we need to do is let's say start date. Okay. Start date would be my date and time, and save. Then we have column, date and time, and then we need end date. So we'll create end date again, date and time only, and done. So let's quickly add them to our views. Okay, event title, I excluded that. All right, so you can see how we have all these columns. So we have event title, and we have description, start date, end date, and the last one we need to create is venue. Okay, that would be my single line of text only. So venue and save. So those are the properties we need to capture while creating any event using our system, right? So these are all the properties we'll be creating. So that's our event table. And then let's quickly do a registrations table as well. So for registrations table, we just need to capture the username and user ID and basically the event ID, right? So let's quickly open that. And if you see that in this data model, the registrations description is linking user to specific event or session. Depending upon how you're building the application, we will be linking it to the event. And registration status, which is registered, cancelled, and stuff like that. Okay, so let's quickly create. Now this is very important concept, right? So when we are actually building the data model, right, there is a concept called primary key and foreign key. Okay, so since we will be linking our events table and user table to our registration table, what we will be doing is we will be creating the foreign keys in our registrations table. Now, foreign key concept is nothing, but it's a reference to another entity or table, you can say. So for this column, my name would be event ID, because for which event this registration is happening. And the data type out of this list I need to select is the lookup. So data type lookup event ID, and then optional would be the thing. And now you see how related table appears at the bottom. So related table we need to do is our events table. So you can see events table. We select the events table and you can see schema name got generated. Relationship name is also generated. Relationship name means the foreign key and the primary key concept I just talked about. It's a very important concept when it comes to building the database. Now, if you are joining as a junior dev, there might be someone senior who actually gives you the ER diagram or the database, and you just create the tables and everything from that. So display name, event ID, events, schema name, event ID, and everything. And then we hit save. That will create a lookup type column in our table. So let's quickly create our attendee ID as well. And that will be again looking up the user table. User table, perfect. And lastly, we just need a status. Now, if you work with SQL, there is no choice column or multiple choice columns which you can use. But with Dataverse, you can actually uh, use the choice column and use it as a drop down option available, right? So auto number, currency, choice, right? So you have two types, either yes, no as choice or your choice, and you can configure your choice. So if you see here, the UI, the moment you select choice, the simple behavior fine, required is fine, and then you have sync with global choice. So if you want to create this choice column as reusable across your tables, that's not what we want to do, because this is registration status only. So you can see my label and value. So my label would be registered as first choice, right? And this can be cancelled, right? So these are my two status. So if I am attending, then registered. If for whatever reason I cancelled my registration, then the status would be cancelled. Okay. So my registration status, my final column, and then we will hit save. Great. So our tables are ready. One quick thing is that we need to use this name column which comes out of the box, and this is kind of like a primary key for this table, apart from the main primary key, which is this column here, the registration. So the beauty of Dataverse is that it creates the primary key for you automatically in terms of the GUID. GUID is GUID column is nothing but 16 characters alphanumeric string, which I'll show you how it looks like. But for this name column, which is not really required for our use case, what you can do is instead of single line of text, you can't delete this column. So what we can do is we can change this to auto number, and this will be basically be like auto number unique reference for each row, and you can customize this as a prefix. We'll add the prefix as R and seed value 1000, right? Minimum 3. So that's how your auto number will look like, R 100, 101, 102, whenever new record is getting created. We'll hit save, and our database is now pretty much done. So let's add one event so that we have something to see when we actually create the Power App, right? So event title would be Bootcamp for Power Apps, okay? And then you see my data is saved, and the GUID I was talking about, the GUID column, will look like this, which is the unique key for this table. And you see this one. That's how a GUID looks like, and that is out of the box. You don't have to do anything to maintain this table in this column. And then we'll add a couple of more details, which is start date. Let's say start date is today, end date would be 8th. Venue would be, let's say, online. Okay. You can change venue to choice as well. So if you don't want to type online, and if you want to select from like a drop down kind of a thing, you can change this to choice column. Provide your choices: online, in person, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, and everything, and you can select your columns as well. So that's now we have one record as well. Now let's quickly create the Power App, the front end. Basically, we have set up the backend. See how easy it is to set up the backend when you are working in Power Platform. And if I have to explain Power Apps in Power Platform, it would be like low code full stack tool, right? So we all heard about full stack. We all know about full stack. We heard about it. It's kind of a buzzword. But if I have to explain Power Apps to a pro coder, I would say Power Apps with Dataverse is a low code full stack project, right? So that's what we are doing. We set up the backend. Now we are setting up the front end. That's full stack for you. Security bit or the authentication side, Microsoft handles it out of the box. You don't have to worry about the authentication, how users will be authenticated and everything. Because until and unless you are invited as a guest user or you are part of the organization, you won't be able to access the application at all. Which you will see, this is the agenda of the third call, pushing our application to prod and giving them access to the users. For now, what we need to do is create the Canvas app. So let's create the Canvas app. Let's name it as event management. And we'll select the format tab and we'll try to make it responsive as much as possible. So event management, tablet, and we will hit create. All right, so this is the UI of your Canvas app where we will be creating the UI, right? So this is kind of a blank canvas and you can do whatever you want in here. So just to give you a brief about the UI, what it is. So the top one, this is your you can say command bar or anything you want to call it. So this is where your all your controls, all your features and everything will be listed. So insert, add data, new screen, theme, and some other settings as well. And this is your tree view. And okay, before tree view, this is your advanced property drop down. And this is where you will write the code. This is just like Excel, and you see how you don't have to do equals to just like Excel, because equals to is embedded here within every formula. So it is very much like Excel where you have to go equals to and write your formula. Difference is equals to is embedded, so you don't have to write it every time. And here the right hand side we have properties panel. So you have your screen, what type of component this is. So that can be visible here. That is screen name, display, some basic properties, and all the advanced properties. So this advanced property and this advanced property drop down are similar. So all the properties are actually the same, but within this advanced tab, these are actually categorized, which was a recent change and nice one as well. So you can see action properties, data properties, design properties. So these are actually categorized. On the other hand, in this drop down, these are like all sorted by alphabetical order. That's it. So then what we will be doing is first we will create a navigation bar within our canvas. So this is our white canvas, this is our screen. And if we are trying to build, let's say, a responsive application, then what we will be doing is we will be dividing the application layout in that particular order itself, right? So since we will be dividing the screen layout in two sections, first is a nav bar, which will be here, and the remaining one here. So we need to first create or add like a horizontal container, so that, and this will cover our whole screen. So that's our starting point. That's our horizontal container. And then what we need to do is say add another one, which is our vertical container. Now within our vertical container, we will have a button, and we will have one more button for two different screens. Okay, so that's our vertical container, and then this is our horizontal container. So now horizontal container will contain one navigation bar and one other area, which is your like your form, your gallery, and everything. So what we will do is we will add one more container, which will be your vertical again. Right. So now you can clearly see how your layout will be divided. Now this is the navigation bar, so it doesn't need 50% screen space. Okay. So if it doesn't need 50% screen space, what you can do is instead of flexible width, what we will be doing is we'll be setting up a static width, which is somewhere around 50. I don't say, not 50. Let's say 80. That's more than enough. And then we have button 1 and 2. So now these buttons, what we need to do is, let's say, these are actually classic buttons. Okay, that explains. All right, so now the recent update in Power Apps, you can actually create modern applications with modern UI. But out of the box, you can see all these buttons are hideous. Let's be honest, they look hideous. So you can see how big they are and everything. So what we do is we go to settings and we go to updates, and you see how modern controls and themes is off right now. What we can do is turn it on, close it, and within this you can see how modern button started appearing, and I'll show you the difference. You see the difference? I'm not sure if you can see or not. I'll just zoom in slightly. So you can see this is your modern button and this is your classic button. This is what we see recently in our recent application and recent changes within the applications which I used to use. So we will delete this. They look hideous. Okay. Now this is what we will be doing. So we have one button, and you can see all these different properties are available for that button. So button canvas 1, and you can see all these properties for that button. We don't need this text because this will be icon only button. Icon would be, let's say, something like, let's say home. Okay. Yeah, home is fine, and icon would be 25 by 25. And this will be transparent. So that's what we are doing right now. We are building our navigation bar, and this would be $50. Yes, perfect. Let's add one more button to our container. Same thing, don't need a text. We just need icon for our buttons. And this one, let's say, would be this. 25 height, 25 width. Let's keep them primary for now. Okay, so then you have this, and now what we need is center align, and our nav bar is almost done. So let's add 20 gap and start it to look like proper nav bar. Let's add some kind of subtle color as fill. So which color? One, this one. Okay, so starting to look like something. I'm not a UI UX designer, so the application might not look very modern and good, but it will be functional, that's for sure. We'll try our best to make it look good. Okay, so navbar starting to looks like something, and hope you are able to follow and able to understand, right? Okay, I'll take that as yes. Cool. So a nav bar or two buttons at the side of our screen are actually visible now. Let's increase them to 35 actually. It's really small. 35, 35. Okay. All right. So yeah, we have two icons. We'll make the nav bar more attractive. We will add our logo as well. We'll add some punchy colors as well and everything. But for now, what we will be doing is we'll be creating a gallery within our second section, which is this one, so the vertical one. So first, we will be creating a header. So for our header, we will add a horizontal container. That will be the top one, and we'll add another vertical container at the bottom in this. So now our screen is now divided in two different sections. So you see the top one is our header and this one will be our gallery. But this again, we don't need the whole space. So what we will be doing is reducing its height to, let's say, 50. 50? Yeah, 50 is enough. So you can see how it's now reduced. And we will add one image for user. Actually, now for the header also, I want to divide it in three different sections, right? So I want to add a name, a label, and an image. So I'll add a horizontal container within this vertical container. So you can see this one, and then we have this one. So let's increase this slightly to 70. And this we will have not flexible, this will 60. Now this is actually the width. Now I want height should be 60. Yeah, okay. So width is fine. And what I need is another horizontal container. We are doing all these containerization because we want to make our application responsive, which is nowadays it's a bare minimum exercise for all the applications and websites, right? So it's a good practice that we do this from the start. Okay, so then what we have is this 60, and then in this container we will be adding one image. Okay, and image size we will keep 25 by 25. Too small. 35 by 35. Better. And the alignment in this container would be center aligned, and it should start from the bottom. Sorry, from the far right. And we need to give some padding. You see how it is like at the very end of the screen and there is no padding. So what we will do is we will add some padding from the right. So let's add n padding. Okay, perfect. So you can see how it looks nice and cool. So now we have our image. What next we need to add is a text. Right, so now in between text and the image, I need at least 30 gap, right? And the text should be flexible width. Perfect. You can see this perfect, and it should align at the middle, right? And now we will dynamically say what should be the text what should be the text appearing for different users. Now this is where the actual formula level coding starts, right? So we select this text canvas 1, which is the modern one, text canvas 1, and we open the drop down, which is this one, that is your text. All out of all these properties, we have the main one for labels. This is text, and we remove this double quotes text, and you can see how it removed from my label as well. And what we will give is user dot full name, and you see how my name started appearing. You can see Akshan Sharma, and now this should actually be starting from the far right as well, just like our label. 1 second. Okay, so height, custom, vertical align, yes. Padding from left should be we'll add padding from left something like 60. Now let's keep it 0 and center align, and we will start it from, yeah, we will start it from the end by giving generally you can do this with classic controls, but with modern, right, they removed it. Anyways, fine. So the main point is that now you can dynamically code the name of your label. So if I am opening this, my name will be visible. If let's say someone else, John Doe, is opening the application, then John Doe name will be visible. And how this will be visible? Because of the user function. So what user function does is it, because I told you Microsoft takes care of the authentication, right? So Microsoft authenticates the user who's actually opening the application, and it captures their full name, email address, image, and Entra object ID. Now, these 4 properties are coming from Microsoft Entra itself, previously known as Active Directory. So this you can use, this user function, and these 4 properties you can use to actually dynamically pass any of these values to your front end, which actually I did. So user dot full name I passed dynamically, and similarly this image would be user dot image, so that I don't have an image right now in this tenant, but if any user has their images properly maintained, then that image will be visible here. Everything clear? Perfect. So that's our header, and here we will add a simple text, and that will be our application name. So we'll start from here, adding, we'll add some padding, and this will be flexible width. Padding from left would be 20, and text would be event management Right, so you can see event management align vertically and text size, which is very important, 14. Since this is a heading, well, let's give 20. So you can see we have event management and the username, which doesn't look good. It's bugging me. For now, I'll just give 500 as, so it starts from the end. Right, so Akshan Sharma, image, event management. I don't like these drop shadows. So let's remove these linings which are appearing unnecessarily. So these are drop shadows of the containers. So you can select none in here. Yeah, better. So navbar, event management, user details. Now we have this canvas area where we will be actually creating our gallery. So the gallery development and the form development will take up in tomorrow's session. But hope you were able to understand what the UI is, how you set up the database, and how you can actually start adding containers and the user function and how to make it dynamic. So you can see within the screen one, we only have one container and everything within this container. That means it is responsive and everything will be adjusted depending upon the screen size of the user screen. Any questions? Anything at all till here? No questions. You saw Dataverse for the first time. Yeah. Yes, Rajat.
Yeah, hi Akshan. Morning.
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I have a question related to the database that you have created. Okay,
Okay.
so
Yep.
my question is, consider that I have created two different tables containing uh, means ID, okay, user ID or event ID,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then you created a third table as a lookup for fetching that particular ID into that table. Second one, I think. So how that lookup is actually working?
Good question. I'll open the application to answer that. Sorry, the tables to answer that, right? So now tell me, you're talking about, I guess, the registrations table, right?
You created that table and you assigned two lookup columns into this particular
Yes,
table having primary means having this as a primary key of the primary table that you have provided as roles or users, right?
yes, exactly. So how
So
this works is basically event ID and attendee ID, right? I created these
hmm,
two as lookups. So these are foreign keys basically, right? So with SQL, you don't have any concept of lookup, right? And you can't you it only works with IDs, but with Dataverse there is a concept called lookup column. It's a proper dedicated data type for foreign keys. And how it works is basically this event ID looks up events table, which is this table, and understand, okay, I have one record in my events table that is available to be linked with registrations table via this foreign key. And I'll show you how it looks as well, if this actually loads. Yeah, perfect. So you can see, if I double click this, you see how Bootcamp for Power Apps gets visible. So that's how it works. It actually gives you all the options, all the records which are available for linking. So if I link this, you can see Bootcamp for Power Apps is actually linked with my R100. So that's how it works. This is a proper dedicated data type to establish the relationship between events table and registrations table. So events table is my this table and registration is my actually fact table.
hmm, okay.
Does that
And
answer your
what if
question?
rather than having bootcamp for Power Apps, we have other values as well that we can also fetch, right?
Yes, 100%. So if you see attendees, or that's how it will look. So attendees is coming from a user table, and I have like default users and all these service accounts. But if I search my name, you can see my name started appearing because it is actually present in the users table. So if you have multiple values, that's how you can link it to attendee. We'll see how we can actually link it via front end. This is the back end. If you want to do some things via the back end, this is your back end for the application, not front end. Front end will be completely different, and we can customize how it can look like.
Okay. And how we assign that one to many, many to one, that particular thing
By
that way of
default,
concept.
Dataverse works with one to many only. So you can see you can have uh, multiple registrations within the event. So it by default works with one to many. Many to many, it doesn't like, and I don't like as well. So for many to many, so a user and roles will have a many to many relationship, right? That's why I created user role to avoid creating a many to many relationship between user and roles. So it will go via user role and one to many and many to one fashion between these two tables. But Dataverse out of the box
Okay.
works with one to many only.
Okay, it is by default, right? Okay,
Yes.
actually, while designing a table using a Copilot Studio, means Copilot, sorry, not a studio, Copilot, it actually give you an option of choosing what kind of means one to many or
Yes,
many to one thing you want to use.
you
So I
can.
was little bit
Yes.
confused that how does it is working in Dataverse directly if I am creating. It never asks for that relationship when you create it directly into Dataverse, but in Copilot it
Yes.
asks you if you are connecting two
Exactly.
tables.
Because Copilot uses this relationship table here. So under schema, you have this tab here, relationship. If you
Okay.
are building model driven application, you will be using this very
Ah,
frequently.
yep,
But
yep,
with
yep.
Canvas apps, you can use lookups. By default, it works with one to many only, and you don't have to worry about it. But since you asked, so this relationship, instead of creating lookup column, what you are doing is you can actually choose the relationship and the columns, and it will check, okay, is this possible to create this relationship or not? So that's what Copilot does. It uses this relationship tab instead of using the lookup tab. That's why it allows you to choose these three.
Okay, so does it affect any development process in Canvas
No,
application? Will it hamper it, or will everything will work
no,
fine?
everything will work fine. But if you are doing this via relationship, what it does is it actually creates a lookup column within the table, non-editable, just to establish the relationship if you don't have it, right?
Okay,
So I don't like
okay,
it
okay.
because I don't like unnecessary columns in my table. You can say I want to control how the data should be stored and where it should be stored. That's why I create dedicated lookup columns so that I can actually control how and where the data should be populated instead of relationships. But with model driven apps, since you can't customize the UI, there is no Power FX or formula level coding in model driven app. Everything works via the relationship only. So that's why with model driven app, relationship becomes a crucial part of your development, because every form, every detail will be going via relationship. There is no lookup, or um, you can write a patch statement and control how your relationship is working and storing the data. That's why these relationship becomes very important with model driven app. With Canvas app, it's optional, but it won't impact anything. It won't. It will work as a lookup itself.
Okay. Yeah, that's it, Shans. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Okay, I have a couple of questions. Okay, fine. All right. So Likita, you asked, yes, this will be the link for the 3 sessions. If not, if anything gets changed, you will receive another email saying this is the direct link to join. So don't worry about it. Any other questions before we close then? All right, I guess not then. All right, thank you everyone for joining today's session. Tomorrow we'll be looking how we can create a gallery to display the records via front end, how we can actually register for events, and the security aspect as well. So if organizer is opening the application, they can actually create the events. But if let's say participants role is opening the application, they can only register for the events. So that's the agenda for tomorrow. So hope you will take away some of these learnings and explore the UI and try to play around with Dataverse tables and the UI, the studio as well, and containerization. So hopefully I'll see you all tomorrow as well. Thank you very much. See you. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye all. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.